Hey everyone, in this video we will learn about pagination in Xano and Weweb, specifically backend pagination. That means we will be paginating in Xano and then sending that data over to Weweb, and in Weweb we can scroll through multiple pages. So first of all, what even is pagination? See, when you have 200 records like you see here on screen, it doesn't make sense to show the entire 200 records for the user. That's why we add page numbers at the bottom. So that is what pagination is. We will show first 50, then when user clicks on the second page, it will load the second set of data. There's two types of pagination, front-end pagination and back-end pagination. In front-end pagination, your backend, in our case, it would be Xano. Xano would be sending all the records. In this case, it's 200 records. Xano will be sending all of that records to the front end. And then front end takes it and then creates pages. There are advantages and disadvantages for this. Advantages, it will be very fast. Like when a user visits their front end, when they click on page 2, page 3, it will load instantly. The disadvantage is, imagine this was 10,000 records. Then the user's machine, whatever, it can be a computer, can be a phone, tablet or whatever, that will have to bear the load of that data. So the bigger the data is, front-end pagination will get slower, it will get clunkier. You might have seen some websites where they will try to load 10,000 records and everything freezes. It will be a terrible experience. So front-end pagination is only used when the data is small and you need instant response. Whereas backend pagination is where your backend, your database, only sends data that is required to the front end. And whenever you are ready to show the next page, backend will load the second page and send it over. But it will be slower compared to front end, because when user clicks on page 2, you will have to send a REST API request to your backend to load that page 2 data. So that is backend pagination. Now, in Weweb and Xano, how can we implement backend pagination? That's what we're going to cover in this video. All right. So let me move myself out of the way. I'm going to show these things with an example here. So here I have a table in Weweb, in Xano, which is a PTO request clone. So I created a clone. This is one of our internal projects where employees can request paid time off, and one of the managers approves it. We are supposed to show this data on a table in our Weweb frontend, right? So here, and obviously we will also need to add some sort of pagination to this as well. Okay, so how can we, first of all, let's try to bring this entire data to Weweb frontend. That's how everybody starts, but then later everybody will add the pagination to it. So let's first start by creating an endpoint which will bring the entire data in my table here onto the front end. All right. So that's the first step. So I have created an endpoint. It's a test endpoint, get endpoint. So we will do a query all records from my clone table. So this is the test table. And I'm just going to send that data over. All right. Now, if I just run this, you will be able to see the entire data. So here we are sending 200 rows to the front end. Not recommended, but this is how we are going to start, right? So we will import a collection. So I'm going to go to data. I'm going to add a new collection. I'm going to call it test because this is a test for me. And source will be Xano. Mode will be dynamic. And let's let the test endpoint I just created. So pagination test, that's what I created now. I'm going to click on continue, and it fetched the data. Here you can see there's 200 items that I brought in. I'm going to click on continue. And here Weweb offers pagination. This is front-end pagination. It's not in the scope of this video, so I'm going to skip this. Front-end pagination is not something we are going to do now. So we are going to skip this and exit out. So now that I have the collection added, it's time for me to show that collection as a row in here. So I have created a table already. In here, I am going to bind our data under items. I'm going to bind it from our collection. So this is the test collection, and it's the data that we are binding. And here you can see it took a second. Did you notice that? That is because there are 200 records. That's why I told you when you are doing things like this, it will take some time because the data is big. Imagine 10,000 records. It will take some time. That's why we'll be doing backend pagination. So I just connected the data, and here the table is showing all the records, right? And it's too big. It's 200 records. Everything is being shown here. Now we are going to implement pagination. Instead of showing all 200 records, we are only going to show 25 records. And then if we want to show the next 25, we will do another backend pagination call, another backend call and stuff. So how can we do this? So step one is in your Xano endpoint. Here you have to enable pagination. So you will click on this, go to output. If you scroll down here under return settings, you can see sorting and pagination. I am going to edit. I am going to enable pagination, and you should make sure you are including the metadata, and you're also including total item count. All right. So enable those. If you want to include sort, you can. I'm going to skip this for now. It doesn't really matter for me. I am going to save it. I am going to publish this. Now, if I refresh my Weweb, all the data will be gone because the output of a paginated table is a bit different. So you have to update your mapping. So if I go to test.data, earlier this test.data contained all the items, but now it has metadata. It has number of items received, current page, next page, previous page, offset, per page, total number of items, total number of pages, and then there is items. So we have to map it to this items array. So you can either go select it from here or just items, and that will bring about our data. But this time it's only 25. Okay, so it's showing the first 25 rows of our entire data set, right? So there are 200 rows. We are only showing 25. Now, how can we implement pagination so that when we click on numbers like this here, we will start seeing different rows like the next page and so on. So for that, we need to let me ignore this. We need to add a variable that will tell Xano which page to fetch. Okay, so I will add an integer. I'm gonna call it page. I'm gonna add that as an input. Now, in Coriol records, if you go to external, here you will be able to see an option or an input called page. So here you will map the page directly, and per page is what you enter on how many records you want to pull in per page. For now, I'm gonna statically set it as 25. We can change this later to a variable, but I also don't want to make this tutorial super complex. I just want to keep things as basic as possible. So I'm gonna keep it to per page 25 by default, right? And I'm gonna click on save. Now I am going to publish. All right, so if I click on run, and by default let's set page to 1, and if I click on run, here you can see there is fig tomato, rambutan tamarillo, or whatever. So this is fake data. That's why the names looks like this. But here you can see these are the first 25 items, you can see current page and next page, right? If I change the input of this endpoint to, let's say, page number 2, let's go ahead and run it. And here now it shows current page is 2, next page is 3, previous page is 1, which is all important in front end. We will show you how you can do that. And under items, again, they are sending 25 items, but now the ID starts at 26, right? If you remember, in the previous run, the ID kind of started at 1. So 1, 2, it's sorted by ID by default. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, it will go until 25. When I do page number 2, the ID will go from what, 26 to, since it's pulling up 25 elements, it will be 50, right? So that's how we implement just page-based pagination. We are only inputting page. Of course, we can send in how many records we want and all that stuff. That would be advanced. But for now, we will just do page. Okay. So I'm going to publish this. Great. Now, here, in your collection, you have to add that variable onto your collection. So here now you would see that page variable, right? And we can manually type this in. So if I enter 1, obviously it will fetch the first page. What if I enter 2? If I enter 2, it will fetch the second page, right? But it doesn't make sense for somebody to go in and type in that 1, 2, 3, 4 every time. So obviously we will have to bind it to a variable. So the way I normally do it, again, there's no right way and wrong way to do this. The way I do it is I normally create this object called Paginator or Paginator. And it's a JSON object. And in that object, there will be a page key and there will be a page size. All right. So by default, it's set to 50. Let's change this to 25. Okay. So basically, you will create a new variable, call it Paginator, and then inside it, there would be a page key, and then there is a page size key. Okay. So we will only use page for now. So we will map this to our collection, right? So again, I don't also, I never turn this on preserver navigation because it messes things up. And also I don't save this in local storage. So it's just Paginator, a simple object with page and page size. By default, I set page to 1 and page size to 25. Now I'm going to map it. So let's go to test. That is my collection here. And here, instead of entering a static value, I will map my Paginator to this. So this is how it's going to look like. So if I fetch a collection, I can see here are the fetched items, right? So I'm going to click on continue. Okay, so here under name, I don't have a name now. So I'm just gonna show the ID of the record. So it's just easier. So you can see, okay, so now we are fetching from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, right? But if I go to my variable now, so I go to my data, this Paginator variable to, let's say 5. I want to see page 5. Okay. If I refresh, it's showing data from page 5. So the whole idea of pagination is you send a page number from Weweb to your Xano, and it's dynamic now since we have this object here which contains page number and number of items to show. Okay, now how can we implement a paginator element here which will keep switching whenever we want to change the page? That's our next goal. So let me switch this back. It should be page 1 by default. Okay, if I refresh, it should show from 1 to 25. Great. Now you can drag and drop a paginator element. Okay. Now, if you go to this paginator on the right side, There would be custom pagination. It would be turned off by default. And remember at the beginning of this tutorial, I told you, hey, you can do front-end pagination. If you want to do front-end pagination, you can directly connect it. That's how this is how Weweb envisions it to be done. Like just connect the collection. But for us, we are doing backend pagination. So we will turn on custom pagination, and total items, we will be mapping it from our collection. So under test, if we go to test.data, we can see these are the collection items. And here we have to map the total items. So here under items total, that's what the total item number is. So I'm gonna map that. So item total is 200. All right. Items per page. So here you can, if you want, you can type in how many items you want to map. So here you can see items per page. This can be static, 25. But Xano also, that's why there is 8 pages, right? That's how the Weweb calculates how many pages there are. So items per page can be static, but that can also be dynamic. So here again, if you go to this test, actually, I can also open. Why should I type all the time? So I'm going to open this. And here you can see per page is returned by Xano. So it's 25 because we set it to 25. So that is also mapped. And offset. Offset is a bit tricky. Offset decides which number is currently selected. All right. So you have to enter offset as a formula. So let me just quickly take that formula and show you how to calculate it. Okay, next up is offset. I actually made a cut while making this video and filming this after I completed the video because I wanted to show you how offset actually works so that you really grasp the concept. So if I just give you the formula to set up offset, it would, I mean, you can set it up, but you will not understand how offset actually works or what offset actually is. So offset is the number that dictates what is the current page shown by this paginator element. Okay. So right now the offset is 0. And due to that, the number that is being shown here is 1. What if I change offset to 25? Number is now showing up as 2. That the selected number is showing up as 2. What if I change this to 50? Now it's showing as page number 3. So you can see it is the increments of 25. Why 25? The reason for that is items per page for us is 25. So if this was 50, then the gap between each of these offsets would be 50. Right now I'm incrementing by 25. Why? Because current value, the per page value is 25, right? So that is why offset matters. So if the paginator needs to show you are currently on page 1, it has to set offset to 0. If the paginator has to show you are on page number 2, then the value should be 25. Another way of saying this is, I guess that will make sense to a lot of people. Paginator basically shows what is the first element's position in the entire data set on that page. That is another way to say it. All right. Let me explain. So how can you set or calculate the offset dynamically? It doesn't make sense for us to go to offset and update it statically every time. So we use a formula for that. And that formula is, I can paste it for, to make things easy. That is, we take what the current page is and we subtract 1 from it. Then we multiply it by total number of items. So in this case, current page from Xano, we identify that as page number 1. And then we subtract 1 from it. Then we multiply the total number of items. That way, this element will understand what is the position in the entire data set. So Remember, I told you I am making this part after I completed the video, because I wanted to show you how this works. Because if I switch to page number 2, now you can see it starts from 26. And the reason for that is offset is now set to 25. So how was this offset calculated? It is taking the current page from Xano, that would be page number 2, subtracting 1, making it 1, and then multiplying it by total number of items, making it 25. So if you guys don't really want to know or learn this concept and just want to get this done, here's what you're going to do. To create offset or to set offset, you will basically write this formula. So in data, you will get current page. So current page would be here, minus 1 multiplied by the total per page items. So in this case, it's 25. And that will give you offset, and everything will continue working. So that's how you calculate offset. All right. So now back to the tutorial. Clicks on this page, we have to, how will Xano know somebody has clicked on this? So if I click on 2, nothing is happening. If I click on 8, nothing really is happening. Why is that? That is because you have to implement a workflow which triggers on change of page. All right. So let's implement a workflow for this paginator. Let's add a workflow, and instead of on click, you have to change that to on change. So this is very important. Do not do on click, always do on change. And in on change workflow, you are going to update the variable or change the variable. Remember, we are using this thing called paginator in our system to update variables, right? And we are going to do a partial update of page. Now, if I click on value, the value will be the value of that event, right? So whatever page is being selected, that will be passed on, right? Now, what does this actually do? Let's go to our logs. I'm going to clear this. See, if I click on 2, see the value of that paginator object is updating to page 2. If I click on 3, value of that is getting updated to 3, right? Click on 4, 5, and you can see this page numbers also being updated due to the formula we applied for offset, right? Remember, in our paginator. Now, the last step would be, see, every time this number change, we also have to fetch data from Xano to show the new data. So how can we do that? We can go to the workflows again. I am going to fetch collection, and the collection will be the test collection I just added, right? Now, if I go to page 3, it automatically fetched the third page. So now I can see from 51 to 75. What if I switch to page 1? It is collecting data from 1 to 25. If I go to page 8, which is the last page, it should do it from 176 to 200, all right? So that is how we implement front-end pagination. And remember, our paginator variable has two things. It has page and page size. If you want to show, maybe you want to add a drop down here which shows how many items to show, then you can bind that and change it to, and you know, whenever that is changed, you can update this page size variable, and you will also pass that as page size onto your endpoint, and you will connect it under external. Instead of, you know, setting it to 25, you can set it to whatever is the input. I normally just keep things simple. I don't let users select how many records they want to see. I just normally set it to a static variable, and that is it. So that is how we implement backend pagination in Weweb and Xano. Hope this tutorial was helpful. Let me know in the comments if you have any questions. Until then, this is Abby from Republic of No Code, and I'll speak to you in a different video.